Welcome to the Sharpe Way Show. Yes, it is 7 p.m. on the East Coast, which means, guess what? You got to be looking at me, like it or not. And I know you love me or you wouldn't be watching. So show the love because I know you need to. So like, comment, share. It does matter. The algorithms care, all the algorithms thingies. See what a tech guy I am. The more you start liking, the more you start sharing, the more you like commenting, then the more people start watching. And I don't see a bunch of thumbs up, so somebody's dropping the ball. And I don't see a bunch of comments, so someone's dropping the ball. So stop dropping the ball, like, comment, and share so we can move forward. Today, as you see on Fridays, I have someone here to chat about some fun stuff. And people might call this like the Sharpe Way soup, but no. Ours is meteor, not media. Look, the New York came out of me. That is meteor, which makes it Sharpe Way Stew. Yes, it is. And I'm very lucky today. Very lucky today to have with me today, comedian and host of the Boys Cast. Hope I said that right. The man himself, Ryan Long. How are you, sir?
Fellas, boys. The Boys Cast.
Yes, the Boys Cast. Absolutely. That's what, every once a week. Is that right?
Yeah. I do, and I do some more on the Patreon. I like that intro though. This is fancy. This streaming world for me. I've done a few of these, and I'm always like, it feels like outer space. I don't know if you've ever done the Discords you go on.
Oh yes.
Dude, the one a couple of times I've done them, I had to call the guy and he was walking me through. I felt like I was 90 years old.
I'm lucky. I have a 16-year-old daughter. She's got it all down.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I'm like yelling into my mouse. Turn Discord on.
Yes. No, I just asked my daughter. Now, what you do this? I'm gonna smile. You just do stuff. That's how I deal with it. There's advantages sometimes of being old, as long as you have some kids that can take care of this.
Yeah, I have no excuse. I'm trying to look hip over here, and I don't know what the hell is going on.
No, look, t-shirts are the thing. That's absolutely the thing. Absolutely. So you have some fans here, by the way. James follows your content. Absolutely, 100%.
Religiously.
Religiously. See?
Oh my God.
You are indeed one. I thought you were. I had a feeling. And now I know. Absolutely. 100%. So hold on. So I have a question. Do you happen to know one? If you don't, it's okay. I'll put you on a spot here. What's your favorite libertarian joke? I will give you mine. Mine's bad, but go ahead. What's yours?
Oh, I heard one the other day, but it was, fuck. There's something that
all right,
someone...
I'm going to give my terrible joke.
Yours,
I actually use this joke when I MC sometimes, and I MC fundraisers and such. Here's my joke. What kind of salad do libertarians like?
Okay, what?
Lettuce alone. See that? That's why I'm not a professional comic. That's like peak comedy for me. So that's why I'm just the amusing guy who raises money. That's
it might have been just a tweet that it was something that said like, anyone that says that girls are overreactors has never met a bunch of libertarians or whatever.
Ooh,
so it was some version
I like
of that.
Like, so you add libertarianism and sexism combined. Yes, well done.
Yeah, like the libertarians are like often so hyperbolic. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, I love it. So this guy asked, did you ever work with Staten Island's own Craig Lloydrin? Have you ever worked with him?
Possibly. I haven't done them. I mean, I only moved to America like 8 months ago or something like that, and I've only done like a few shows out of the city, so it's possible, but I don't remember anyone's names, dude. That's
gotcha. I just got booed on my dad joke.
That was such a dad joke. I feel like there's a good libertarian, like how many does it take to turn a light bulb on kind of situation. There's got to be one of those, right?
So that's our next task.
The other day I heard, or I not heard, but I remembered how many female singers does it take to turn the light bulb, and it's one to hold the light bulb and then the rest of the world to turn around her.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, but you can you can repurpose that for probably anything. But
so I'll steal it and not give you any credit.
All right, what would be the libertarian light bulb joke? It would be how many libertarians?
You're the anti-PC guy. I have a lot of comedians who are anti-PC, but you really are. You're the anti-PC guy.
Yeah. I mean, I just think of myself as a comedian, but people have gotten so crazy in the last little bit that I was talking about this today, but it's so funny because I get so many people that message me and they'll be like, it's so crazy. Like you're doing comedy. Like, oh, it's crazy. You're just telling G's jokes. And I'm like, that's my gimmick as a comic, that I'm like just doing comedy.
Yeah, but I don't think you see that. I think you see people take sides and actually they take the idea of, it's, I remember this is years ago. Eddie Griffin did a special, I don't know, 20 years ago, whenever it was. And he was talking about the difference between joke tellers and storytellers, right?
Yeah.
That was part of his bit, right? And he was saying, I'm not a joke teller, set up, punchline, whatever. I'm not that guy. I'm a storyteller. That's what I am. And I think storytellers have become preachers.
Yeah, it's all they definitely have. And there's this, the thing that I always kind of talk about this topic is there's this idea of like, what do you think's more important, politics or art? And so a lot of people want art to be like propaganda for things. The Catholic Church said that art, all art should be talking about God. And if you're making it the wrong thing, right? So it kind of boils down to, in your head, what do you think's the most important thing, right? So a lot of times it's that. It's like, we can all have fun, but like we don't cross these boundaries, and they get to decide which boundaries are good. But the problem isn't that they decide what boundaries are good for them. The funny part is they want to decide which boundaries are good for you.
James has given us our joke. How many libertarians does it take to put in a light bulb? Well, let me tell you about regulations on light bulbs.
There was one. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Well done, James. Well done.
Let me tell you how this would have been brighter if it wasn't regulated.
Absolutely, yes. But the thing I want to bring up is something that I've been talking about a lot recently, particularly when it came to just recently. And I'm the political guy, so politics obviously matters to me more than art. Obviously, it does.
Yeah, that's your thing.
So guilty as charged. Politics more important. So literally, I was talking about Biden picking Kamala Harris. Yeah. And how it doesn't really matter. People are just mad. It's all mad. It's all mad. You did something recently called Defined by Trump. I want to show people this because it's good. It's exactly what I've been talking about. It's so well done. I think people will really
Before you play it quickly, I just wanted to ask, do you know Lou Perez from We the Internet?
He's been on my show already, and he's emceed my events. Love Lou.
Oh, okay. So I was just talking to him on the phone yesterday about some stuff because they're.
And I'm sure he brought me up and told you how much he loved me.
Yeah, dude. He was saying he sent me your nudes, and I was like, I don't know why you're sending me that.
No, well, I asked him to, so it's fine.
Yeah, he's the best though. Because he's a libertarian, and they make some really funny comedy videos.
Absolutely. I did have him on a while ago. I got to get him back on now. See, now he's probably going to watch this and be mad at me.
Man, dude. Yeah. Hi, I'm John.
And I'm his roommate, Ron.
Together, we are Defined by Trump.
Trump just tweeted out our new opinion on corona numbers.
I was just wondering what we thought of that. I realized early on that instead of taking the time to formulate opinions and a perspective, it was much easier to find out what Donald Trump says and angrily disagree.
Or in my case, enthusiastically agree.
That's, as silly as that one sounds, I love that. I love that because it's very, very real. I see this every day. I live in New York City, and I see people who hate Trump, and they don't care what their own faults are. If Trump likes chocolate ice cream sucks.
I find it funny too when I like mess with people on the streets. People will be like, "Oh, why are you messing with like liberals the most?" And you're like, "I live in New York. Like, where? Like, where are these like angry Trump supporters that they're not around? What are you talking about?"
I hardly. But you know what's funny is if you ever look in some of the communities, you will find, particularly immigrant communities, you will find some Trump supporters rabid.
People stealing, is that what you were gonna say?
No, not that, but I meant rabid. But that's fine.
Dude,
I could be stealing.
You're right. Like if you find like an Asian immigrant, they like love Trump, dude.
Absolutely.
Cubans, because they're like, they came from socialism. They don't want to go anywhere near that stuff. They're like,
love Trump.
They love him. They don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. They're like, no, been there, done that.
Yep. All right, let's keep going. This is pretty good.
Once I know he's right, I don't have to think anymore. Just Google Street View to see if the wall is there yet. Still no. We'll get it by his fourth term, though.
I love that little nuance of fourth term.
Yeah.
When I was like, well done. As soon as I saw fourth term, I was like, look at that. You stuck that one in. Nice writing.
I like when you can put two jokes in one joke. That's like my favorite.
Absolutely. It was so good. And he's like, I don't have to think. I wish he was making that up.
Dude, I know so many people that, you see it on the streets all the time where people do the videos where they go and tell them opinions that are their guy. And then they say they hate them. And they're like, that's actually what your guy said. But they say they're Trump's opinion.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, people are all in.
That's great.
Hi, MS-13. Just wondering if one of your generals are available to babysit my nephews.
Trump's opinions are always changing, so ours are too.
I love how he's like, yeah, so I don't have to think. Trump's opinions are changing, so mine are too. I love that. I love that because everyone thinks they're so, I've been straight Republican or straight Democrat my whole life.
It's crazy, dude. You know what the part that I always think is so funny? It's like, if you are this super hardcore woke, like you're all about all that stuff, you're just like, just so you know, like if you were born in Texas, you would have been that for that. Like if you have the type of personality that you're like, what's around me? I'll just be all in on all those 10 opinions of everyone that's like in close proximity to me. You're like, oh yeah, if you lived there, you would have been the biggest contrarian. Like, no,
Right,
you would have been all in
yeah,
on
exactly.
whatever they told you there.
Absolutely, it's good. I there was one thing I remember. I saw a guy on an interview actually say something. He was a historian. He said
Kanye West saying that George Bush was racist. Was that it?
Right. I mean, a historian, immediately you went right to Kanye West because those two things link perfectly. Absolutely right. Yes.
Classic.
Historian. Yeah. I'm sorry. The other famous historian, other than, I should have been clearer. I'm sorry. My communication was poor.
Kanye East.
All right. Other than Kanye West, the other American historian, he said something like, I really wish that if I was in this spot that I would have been on the right side. He said, but I can't be sure I would have been. And that was a lot of honesty that I wish more people would take.
Yeah, no, it's for sure. I mean, it's the people that, you know, that are so against this stuff. And they're like, I would have been the one stopping slavery. It's like, well, every opinion you have right now is the mainstream opinion. So it's like, but if you were in a different time frame, you would have been the guy fighting the power. Like, doesn't look like you're doing that now. So
absolutely.
We have zero evidence to prove back that up based on your actions.
All the people who love government so much now, they'd have been redcoats 200 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. You go, okay, all right. Whatever you think, you go, give me one opinion that you have that is not like a mainstream opinion that you're supposed to have the right opinion. Do you have one single opinion that's controversial? And you're like, no, everything I think is the right stuff. And you're like, yeah, well, guess what? Like it wasn't always the right stuff. So you wouldn't have had it then.
Absolutely. It's very good. Absolutely. So, all right, let me keep it. This is good. There's a couple of comments I'll bring up in a second too.
Cool.
Used to be sort of an anti-war guy, but when Trump started a relationship with Russia, I wanted to bomb the Kremlin.
I always thought I wanted to shrink the government. Turns out I want to expand it.
You don't know how much I loved hearing that. I was like, yes.
Yeah, that's everything. Yeah, they're arguing over the expansion. You're like, which president like shrunk the government ever? Like the nerve of them to even say that they're pretending to. It's like so crazy these days.
Well, because it's their right. I want the government to grow when it's my guy, right? As long as it's my guy, that's all that matters. That is all that matters. My guy. I love that. It's so funny. So funny. All right.
I'm all for corporate bailouts now.
I think he's the most racist president.
I think he's the least racist president. I also think he's 6'3".
I think he's 3'6".
I think his hands and dong are huge.
And I pretend to care about refugees, and Ron pretends to care about veterans. Oh,
now, I'm a Marine. Again, you hit so many points that I love it. I pretend to care about refugees, and I pretend to care about veterans. I mean, that concept of I pretend to care about,
they go back and forth though. I've been kind of saying that little joke for a while, but I love the idea of when Starbucks basically, because they went all in on like the woke stuff or whatever, and they said, you know, we're gonna make a day for refugees or whatever, and then people kind of got fired up about it, and their stock dropped, and then a new CEO took over or whatever, and they're like, actually, it's gonna be for veterans.
Exactly.
They're like, is that cool? You know, they always.
What do you guys like again? It's for that.
Yeah.
There you go. This day is for whatever you guys want to give us money for. That's what it's for. Exactly. Yes.
So what, you think America should just have borders and turn down 5.5 billion immigrants? What are you, some Trump guy?
Yeah. We should really get a second bed.
There are some challenges living together. We compromise on what to watch on TV.
I like watching pony compilations with cool guys like Ben Shapiro. He lost his virginity at 28.
And I like the shows where every comedian says Trump's bad. My favorite joke is the one where they say he's bad.
That part. You know, this is literally the reason, it's going to sound horrible, but that's literally the reason why I stopped watching Comedy Central.
Yeah, Comedy Central is pretty whack.
Not that the comedians aren't good comedians. It isn't that. Not that the people, in theory, aren't talented, but it just wind up becoming the I Hate Trump channel.
There's like lots of groups. I mean, there's lots of funny people that aren't comedians, and like a lot of these people are you and your friend group are funny and you're making jokes and you're like, I think what we're doing is better than what they're doing on Comedy Central.
Yes.
You know, because you're like, why are they so afraid of this thing? And so you go, me and my friends joke around about something, and then I turn on TV to watch professional comedians do like a softer version of what, like, you know, just your normal friends are saying. It just doesn't make any sense. You turn on for them to be able to.
You brought that up though, the softer version, right? And I think you see so many comedians have shifted into a pay model, right? Because it's the only way they don't get canceled.
Yeah.
Right? Because cancel culture creates the idea of zero tolerance. Oh my God, that Ryan guy one time said the wrong thing, so he doesn't get to live anymore, right?
Yeah.
He said the wrong thing, so we have to end him. That's all. And I'm going to feel so righteous as I end his career and destroy him. Man, am I going to feel righteous. And I think as we do that, the problem is, and this is a bigger problem, when you have zero tolerance, only the elite survive. Right? Guys like Dave Chappelle and Bill Burr do what the hell they want because they're heavy hitters.
I mean, you're right. That is a libertarian concept if you want to, because it is that thing where it's like, oh, we'll make all this regulation. Like, it ain't going to hurt Amazon. Like, you know what I mean? They're going to be, Facebook's going to be happy that you made it hard for a new social media company.
Oh, they can't wait. Like, that's right. Yeah, absolutely.
So
yes.
It's that. It's you're regulating all the, you know, kind of new comedians, and which, you know, so only the big people. But also, it does actually kind of work the same as that too, where, because it's, you know, you're kind of saying I'll feel virtuous and righteous, but like I kind of think it's almost like worse than that. It's more this, it's the problem is this other thing's threatening what they're doing, right? So it's this, like, we need to stop this from happening because it's going to threaten, you know, if this thing gains steam and people are like, yo, this is funnier. And who are these guys? They're like, people stop watching that. Because it threatens, you know, they're saying, I'm going to play in the rules. Have my position in this church, and I want to keep my bishop position. And if there's other,
but that's the elites. But if you look at the average,
I'm not saying the elites. I'm saying more like, let's say a comedian that's famous now. That,
okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, the elites, I think. I mean, there's two probably schools of thought on that. Like for me, there's the one school of thought. There's like elites that, for honest to God, don't give a shit, and they're like. You know what I mean? I don't want this divisive America because it's bad for business.
Right.
But then there are, you know, obviously a few elites that are like, I'm going to push this agenda through at any means possible. And I think people like clump those all together like the same thing, but there's two different types.
There we go. All right.
We watch some of Dave Rubin's stand-up next.
We keep Trump's opinions in a spreadsheet so I can spend less time figuring out what to hate and more time hating it.
Or loving it. I do hope that Trump likes the NFL again soon so I can stop my personal boycott before the season starts again.
Now, that part I love. Again, the guy wants to watch football. And now he can't because Trump hates it. Like, man, you like football. Watch football, man. What are you doing?
I love when people boycott stuff because of that stuff.
but the guy likes football. Just watch football.
Most people, that's what they want to do is, you know, hang out with their friends, have a drink, watch something funny, you know, watch sports. And,
whatever.
You know,
I can't stand that.
Chase chicks.
Kaepernick jersey. Never watched a game in my life. Trump likes the Bible now, so I'm going to be converting to Islam.
I was pretty hard on Jews in the gaming forums, and now I'm basically a Zionist, which my mom appreciates because we are Jewish. Looks like I think it's basically over, and you think it's worse than ever.
Before Trump, I did used to have...
I love how you put the mask on. So good. So good. It's like, see, I got to put the mask on because they told me to, right? Exactly.
An identity, but now mainly I don't like Trump.
It's the perfect substitute for having to actually analyze an issue.
I usually quote tweet it with something sarcastic like, this is our president, or says the man who hates minorities.
I can't even believe I used to waste all that energy critically thinking.
The guy's orange.
I can't believe I wasted all of that time critically thinking. I wish this was not a I wish this was not a documentary. I know you meant it as a joke, but sadly, it's like real.
Yeah, I think all the best satire has some truth in it. I actually did another video. So we've done a few of these like 2-shirt videos, and so
I got another one. I got another one ready.
But I got one that some of what we filmed today. I think you'll like it probably because it's me and Danny again. Danny jokes, and we did the 2 shirts, and they're Siamese twins, and one's the stock market and one's the economy.
Oh, there we go. I love it. All right, guys, if you want more information on Ryan, head over to his YouTube page. It's youtube.com/Ryan Long Comedy. He's got tons of great stuff out there all the time. He's producing tons of content. Go there, subscribe, enjoy. He's great at what he does. This is just one little bit of what he does. I want to keep going. The people want to see this, so we got to be good to them.
Right.
And of course, immediately that happened, it ended. Okay, but that's okay because I do have. Oh, and Biden wants to talk to us. Biden does want to talk to us.
What are you trying to feed to your viewers right now?
Yeah, I'm a closet Biden supporter. Oh, you caught me. I threw another. Yeah, please.
You're a Biden head.
Oh my God, no. But yes, it's fine. Look, I don't want to be mean because there are people who watch this who do support Biden and vote Biden, and go ahead, good luck on you. The people going to vote Trump, go ahead, vote Trump. I'm totally okay with that. Do your thing.
What do you think, people? Do you think them? Because I was sort of arguing this today. A lot of people say, it seems like the general vibe on the internet is on the right and on the left. They go, this is a big disaster. The left are like, oh, can you believe this? And the right, or this is a problem. It seems like everyone thinks that, but I feel like there's a little bit, if you talk to your average, 50-year-old person or whatever, they're like, that seems like pretty reasonable. Like, I feel like a lot of people are kind of like, oh, this seems more normal. None of them.
You mean Biden?
Biden and Kamala Harris. I think a lot of
there's no doubt. No, the reality of it is that the left-right spin on the two of them is completely unrealistic, right? The left spins Kamala Harris like the greatest thing ever. Meanwhile, Democrats hate her and she's basically a neocon cop. Right? That's basically what she is. But the left spins her like, oh, she's the greatest pragmatist, and she's all this great. She's a black woman and a Asian woman and a woman. We check 3 boxes. Come on, guys, love us, 3 boxes. We're good. This makes up for the white guy. 3 boxes. Beat that, Trump. Right? I mean, you can't beat that. They check 3 boxes. And the right says she's the most liberal. She's Bernie Sanders with a wig and a tan. That's basically what the right says. And that's just to scare people. The reality is the average Democrat is going to vote anti-Trump no matter who that person is.
No, but
literally Biden could be a ham sandwich and they vote for him.
Yeah, I think some of these swing people were like, oh, okay. Biden, Kamala seems like they're going to be the party to bring some order or whatever.
I think the average middle of the road voter is not turned off by Biden, Kamala.
I don't think so either.
I think they're like, whatever. I think they're still thinking what's going to be right for them.
All right. Good enough. All right. We'll take it.
Yeah. I think if they lean right, they'll probably still vote Trump. If they lean left, they'll probably still vote Biden Harris. I don't think, this is my opinion. And I live in New York like you do. Ton of Democrats around me. None of them are so angry about it. They're like, yeah.
Yeah, because they're not proposing any wild shit. Like, I think there's so many people that, I mean, maybe they are, but like, it feels like, if it was Bernie or if it was Elizabeth Warren or whatever, they would be like, we're going to do all this crazy shit. And people are just like, I kind of want to break from like people with crazy shit ideas. Like, I think some people are like, can we just like have nothing, no one yelling at me for 4 years?
No, I know a lot of Democrats who told me right to my face, if the Democrats would have picked Bernie, they'd have voted Trump.
Yeah, probably.
I know a lot of them right to my face.
Ago. I think now, I mean, that was 4 years ago, but I think
now, no, that was like this year and last year. I had Democrats who I know.
They said they would have voted. I thought you said he would have beat Trump. Sorry, I'm missing.
No. They said that if the Democrats had picked Bernie,
they're not like, I'm not voting for that.
They're like, I'm not voting for socialists. Like, no, they just wouldn't do it. And then these Democrats.
Yeah, I got you.
But they were like, I'm not that far. Like, I'm left, but I'm not that far left. Like,
yeah,
I can handle a Biden. I can't handle a Bernie. A lot of people I know felt that way. And I think that's why the Democrats pushed so hard to have a Biden and then to have Bernie kind of support and get behind it.
I think my most anti-libertarian idea that you guys don't like is I think that there should be some level of socialized healthcare.
Why do you think every libertarian doesn't want that?
Sorry, say that again.
Why do you think all libertarians don't want that?
Well, it feels like
anarchists don't want that, and that's okay. Like, I love my anarchists.
Capitalists.
They are a critical part of my movement. I love them. I want them to never leave. Without them, we will go astray.
I think it should be kind of closer to what happens in the UK. Like, some from Canada, and they're...
Well, you're Canadian, so that's why you like that weird stuff.
Right, but I also think there's like a lot of problems with the Canadian one. And again, I know that anytime they start doing it, it just gets out of hand, and you're like, now my therapy needs to be covered. But there should be... It should be like kind of the way that, so you basically have catastrophe insurance, this is my opinion, but there should be like a catastrophe insurance. So if you know that your family, like if you have some catastrophe, hit by a car, you're not going to go bankrupt. I think that peace of mind makes like a better society. And then there should be a second tier that if you have money, you can get surgery better and quicker and all that stuff. So
I think you find that most of the European countries have something like that. And if you were able actually move towards a world where insurance was, catastrophic, and that was a big deal, but then I think a lot of libertarians will be very happy with that maneuver.
That's what a lot of these insurances should be, catastrophe insurance. But you have these situations where it's like, like I said, in Canada, you have everyone getting their therapy paid for. And I know it's like a slippery slope, but.
Absolutely. Yes. All right. I got the other one up. The one where it's woke versus racist.
That was that one kind of caused a stir.
You did. You started some trouble there.
Yeah.
Brad and Chad, BFFs.
Brad and Chad.
Yes, BFFs. All right. Let me see.
Today my name was Bryce in the new one today.
Let me see if I...
At first, Matt, I didn't
think
we'd get along, but turns out we kind of agree on everything. Your racial identity is the most important thing. Everything should be looked at through the lens of race.
Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
All right, hold on. I'm going to redo this one because I want to start without this because I didn't realize for this one, you kind of have to watch every part of it. So I want to make sure that we don't miss it. I don't want to miss any even bit of this goodness. I don't want to miss any of the goodness of this whatsoever. So hold on.
Me and Brad first met, I didn't think we'd get along, but turns out we kind of agree on everything. Your racial identity is the most important thing. Everything should be looked at through the lens of race.
Jinx, you owe me a Coke. We both have a lot of opinions about people of color, even though we barely know any.
I say colored people, but as long as we're classifying them, we both.
Even though we both barely know any. That is the best little dig. Even though we barely know any. So good.
Thanks.
So good.
Yeah, I love the digs where you just like sort of slip them in. They seem like they're nothing. Like you just throw them away.
Absolutely.
Minorities are a united group who think the same and act the same.
And vote the same. You don't want to lose your black card. Sorry, I don't know. I just think we should
roll back discrimination laws so we can hire based on race again. Jinx, now you owe me a Coke. Hey, tell them what you told me yesterday.
White actors should only do voices for white cartoon characters.
I've been saying that for years. Stick to your own.
Stick to your own. The dog whistle that you just threw out there. It's just so good. Boink! There it is. Take that one. Stick to your own.
The cartoon one was wild.
What I love about this is if the average woke person were to watch this, they would get angry.
Yeah, but there was lots of people on the left that are like sick of this nonsense too.
Yes, 100%. You know, the phrase I hear is when Democrats say "damn liberals," that's when you know it's happening, right? I go, because I've heard that, and I go, "You're a liberal." Well, yeah, but I'm not that, right? It's like they've divvied themselves up, right? No, I'm a Democrat, but I'm not a liberal. Like I'm not that. I'm not that. But I do think though that the movement will do one of two things: it eats itself up, or it eats everybody up.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I don't see it going any other place else. It will either eat itself or eat everything.
There's definitely like, I've even seen in comedy, you kind of have left-wing people that you almost like refer to as the dirtbag left, which means like, you know, they're for like, they're kind of Bernie guys, but they're not for all this like woke garbage. Ah,
gotcha. So cartoon dogs should only be done by dogs?
Yes, that is correct. You're racist, Brad. Wow.
I love that. Yeah. That's very good. All right. So
is there anything less racist than like voice casting? Like I've done so much like voice acting, and you're like, most of the time they don't see you. They just hear your tape.
Yes.
They click on the tape. So it's like, is there anything less like any place that they discriminate less on than when you hear 10 people's voices and you don't actually you don't give a headshot when you give your voice real?
Yeah, so they go, oh, that guy sounds the race I want him to be. Yeah. That's terrible. That guy sounds the class that I want him to be. It's
also so funny because when you do it that way, it's like, there's obviously, I don't know what percentage of America's black. Like, would it be like 20 or something?
13%.
13. So if you have that 13%, you're like, so black people can only play 13% of the roles now? Like,
that's it.
How is that helping?
That's it. 13% cut off. Sorry.
You're like,
Chris
oh,
Power,
only
you're
works for-"
13.1%, Larry. You're gonna have to step down. We'll see you next year. Thank you for coming in.
No, black people can play white people, but white people can't play black, and Asians
Or-
like you need to get the ball of yarn out to figure out who can do a voice of who, and you're like, fuck off.
Or do you have to, when the writer comes in that has it and says, okay, here are the characters. Oh yeah, we have to make that guy, Asian. Why? Quota. But his name is Danny McPherson. I know, and he's Chinese now.
Yeah.
What? I don't get it. Yes.
Also, it's so funny that there's so many cartoon people that just like do all the voices. Like, like my cousin's an animator. He's actually like he's half black, but he's the first half of his career, like he would do cartoons where he would make half of the voices himself. Like there's some, the South Park guys, like, so,
oh my God, they do like all of them.
So what? They're like, what's going to happen is they'll just only have white characters because they're like, well, I'm doing all the voices and I guess I'm only allowed to make white characters now.
Well, no, the South Park guys will be completely asses, and they will then change and make every character not white, and then they will do every one of them. That's what they'll do.
That'd be a huge move.
Trey and Matt, they are total libertarians. They will completely rebel. If they actually made a law like that, they would literally make don't you remember they did a season that said cancel South Park?
Yeah, when was that? What season was that?
That was a couple years back. They were like, we're just gonna keep going. We don't care about wokeness. Get rid of us then. Cancel South Park. They didn't care. They were like, and they did everything anti-PC for an entire season.
That was this season where they had like Caitlyn Jenner running as the
absolutely yes, absolutely yes. That's so good.
White people, we have so much privilege.
I agree. It is a privilege to be white.
Ask him about interracial dating.
All I said is that black men who date white women have internalized racism, and white men that date ethnic women are fetishizing them.
Guys against interracial dating now. Like, am I being pranked? Did Boomer put you up to this?
Ugh, you know that taco place is white owned?
White people should be making white foods like Kraft macaroni and cheese, no seasoning, not even salt.
Not even salt? Man, you aren't playing games, Ryan.
Dude,
not even salt.
I have like the whitest palate. I always, every time I'm like any chick I'm dating is always like trashing me on it because I straight up eat like macaroni and cheese with wieners in it. Like I'm pure like dirt from Ontario, Canada.
Oh my God, it's terrible.
It's like he's a mind reader. I mean, I've been pushing for segregation forever, and my man does what?
I created an improv comedy show exclusively for ethnic people.
Guy segregates comedy on my birthday.
White people need to stop wearing dreadlocks, and they need to stop appropriating black people's music.
Shaved heads and country music, the way God intended.
Shaved heads. I love how you had to add that part, right? You had to, and then at each part, you guys put this little thing where you're always hugging each other. You're all buddies the whole way.
I love like doing these kind of videos about serious topics, and then you make it so homoerotic that when people talk about it seriously, it's like they have to like pretend to ignore the fact that it's like two guys like being gay for 2 minutes.
I love that. It's amazing. I love it.
It's always funny. Yeah.
So good.
Honestly, it's one of those things where it's like just always make me like there isn't anything more to it. And a lot of times people would say, they go, in the Trump one, I remember some people were like, you can see that they're holding hands to show that they're actually the same. And I was like, no, I just thought it was funny. Like two grown ass men holding hands and lying in a bed together. It's like, it made me laugh.
And the music is like my best friend.
Yeah.
It's just like that. I thought,
so a lot of my videos, like making music, is like the music's like the whole thing. And I have a category, a folder in my like all my music banks that's called best friends.
There we go. Exactly.
I have like 20 songs. They're all like that.
Yes, so good.
You know, all white people are racist.
I'm listening.
Even if you have a black wife or a black friend group, you're still really racist.
You know, we just kicked a guy out of the organization for having a black girlfriend, but if you can promise me he's still really racist, we'll consider letting him back in.
The organization. Now that was so good. We just kicked the guy out of the What organization would that be, Mr. Racist? I love that. But if you were and you're so straight, but if you could convince me that he's still really racist, we might let him back in.
Yeah, I like that. That was one of those points that like I was kind of bumping around in my head and I couldn't make it. I never really like nailed it, but I was doing some version of it on stage. But it's kind of like, because people would be always like, this guy's racist and this guy's a Nazi. And it's like, if Hitler was still here, he'd be like, no, he's not. It's a whole thing to be a Nazi. We're not just letting anybody in.
That's right, yes.
You know,
you'd actually be making Hitler angry, right? Oh my God.
Yeah, he's a Nazi. And you're like, well, what did he do to be a Nazi? It's like, oh, he tweeted something. Hitler's like, yeah, it's a lot more than that. I was doing a version of that on stage, but yeah, this was kind of like, I put it in.
Hitler will be like, look, look, guy, you got to work harder if you really want to do this. Stop playing around, right? Do it right. I don't stop.
I had this idea that was making me laugh too. The idea of like at a KKK meeting, like someone coming up and they go, this guy's like super racist. Or like, what happened? He got fired for being racist, everything. And he comes up and they're like, hey, what's going on? And he's like, oh, nothing. Like, what do you think of Asians? He's like, oh, I had no problem with him. He's like, dude, you're embarrassing me. He was being racist. I swear to God, they told me this guy's like the most racist. And the Grand Wizard's like, I mean, did you bring me a guy that isn't racist? They're like, dude, he got fired for being racist. I swear. Come on, say some racist stuff. And he's like, I don't know. Tweeted a joke.
He tweeted a joke. That's it. The Grand Wizard's all mad at him.
He's not.
You're making me look bad, man. Come on, in front of my friends.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's terrible. All right.
Black people should only shop at black businesses. I guess the only thing we really disagree about is I think white people are the root of all evil.
But what did I tell you, though? If we can narrow that down to a certain group of tiny-hatted white people, I think we can come to an understanding.
Technically, I don't consider Jewish people white.
Neither do I.
That right there is the perfect ending. Right there. A group with tiny hats. The racist only uses euphemisms, which is what I love. He never says exactly. He's always like, well, just a group of, he doesn't say what group, the organization. He doesn't say what organization. He just says that, I love that. So
yeah,
good.
I like kind of using never using buzzwords and sort of using soft language to, you know what I mean? It kind of makes it's like you're making these aggressive points, but it's almost like wholesome in a weird way.
Absolutely. It's so good. I enjoyed that tremendously. I got to ask you, what made you decide to do the two shirt thing? Was that your idea, his idea, combo?
No, so I just honestly, I do a video on my channel, youtube.com/RyanLongComedy every Monday. And I just, a lot of times, I have like 10 or 15 ideas at a time that I'm kind of thinking about bumping around. And when I wanted to do the Trump Never Trump, I had a whole bunch of like different versions of that. And then eventually I was kind of like, well, okay, I think I will do one Trump guy and one Never Trump. And that's kind of what I came up with. And then eventually I was like, I think the best way to like, I don't know, whatever. At some point I just came up with I just gave a very boring answer I was like, yeah, I don't know. I thought it'd be funny. But I just essentially thought that would be a good way to like demonstrate it. And then that Trump video like kind of did good. And I was like, hey, let's do another two-shirt video. And then people were liking the two-shirt videos.
I think a two-shirt video is great because it at a level in my own head, I think it really personifies where we are in our country, division that we have in our country. Everything's a left-right paradigm.
Yeah, it's also the easiest way to make a prop too. That was one of my like oldest tricks in the book. If you're doing a sketch that doesn't have a high production value, if you make t-shirts, you can do that for like $60 and it seems like you did a bunch of stuff.
Yes.
It's a pretty easy way to add production value. You know what I mean? Making something like that. Make a shirt or a hat. Yeah. Uh-oh. I think you're frozen here.
There we go. I think we lost connection for a couple seconds, but now we're back. I'm going to pop up the internet to normal humans.
I want to just let it be known to the audience that I don't only make two-shirt videos. I've made hundreds of hours of content, and I do a video every week.
Absolutely. And as I said before, please head over to youtube.com, Ryan Long. But remember, for me, we discussed this already. Politics more important than art.
Right. You're liking the two-shirt video.
I'm liking that's my politics thing. So I've already showed you where I stand. Look, the only thing is I'm honest about it. Yeah. Politics more important than art. So yes,
which is
I am totally cherry picking your stuff so that it fits my narrative.
Well, you know what? It's not even there. I don't think that there's anything wrong with thinking politics are better than art or art's better than politics. But the problem with anything, and again, to go bring it into your kind of audience's libertarian language. If I know you said they're not all libertarians, but it's like that idea of like, some people think Muslims are better. Some people think Christians, whatever you think. It's like the problem is when you're trying to put your will on other people, right? It's like you're allowed to think whatever you want. It's like the problem is when you started telling me that my art has to make politics more important. It's like that's where it becomes an issue.
Absolutely. 100%. Absolutely. All right. I'm gonna keep manipulating your stuff for my own agenda.
Yeah. Okay, everybody, welcome to the annual Left on Right b-ball game. Let's see who goes where.
I don't care. I'll go with you.
Well, hold your horses, cow people.
Because I'm just looking at your socials earlier and you haven't posted supporting women in 2 weeks. Do you have a second profile I'm missing, or?
Look, just come over here. We're poning libs. I don't want to pwn libs, dude. I came here to break ankles.
You don't seem to want to condemn him for poning them, though.
All right, this is how it's going to be. I'm not playing. Let's just go to like a patio or something, guys.
Well, you.
Now, what I love is a guy wants to come to your side, but he's not good enough.
Yeah.
That is, I mean, the libertarians deal with this too, right? We have the same problem. You're not libertarian enough. You're not good enough libertarians. You can't join our club.
Libertarians are pretty good at getting into like very philosophical inside baseball discussions.
Absolutely. So I'm a libertarian. No, you're not. What do you think about that? No, it's about property rights. That's what it's about. What? I just, right? I just want to be able to run my business. No, property rights. Yes.
What do you think of immigration? Oh, that's not,
Absolutely. So, but I love the point that you immediately start with someone says, I want to come to you. And you're like, not good enough.
Yeah.
I checked your socials. You didn't say the right things. You didn't act the right way. You haven't virtue signaled well enough. Sorry, you can't be one of us. That, I think, was a great piece. I just wanted to bring that piece up.
Yeah, I mean, that's to me like been a lot of the comedians' experience. I mean, they made this like article, like there's all these like comedy bloggers, and they made this article being like, the conservative comedians of New York, and it was like 10 dudes that are like party guys that grew up in like and they're calling them conservative comedians. And like, based on what? Like, because they don't think that their speech should be censored, they're conservative. And they go, there's literally almost a lot of these people, first of all, all around the spectrum, and then there's almost these people that don't have any, most of them are apolitical, and it's this idea of just everyone, anything that they pick these words that they like to, that they are considered dirty in their circles, and then they just slap them on anyone that they disagree with on anything.
Here we go. What you have a new fan. James is gonna binge your YouTube channel after this.
Nice, dude.
So there we go. By the way, he also has a Patreon. Just saying. But but please enjoy.
Patreon / The Boys Cast. And I got
there we go. Absolutely. All right. I want to talk about that afterwards too. But your Boys Cast is going to cover this one if you don't mind.
Have to play.
All right, I guess I'm on the left.
Good. Tell me 240 of the right opinions you hold.
Dude, why would
you said tell me 240 of the right opinions you hold. I love the fact that it's opinion, but the right opinions.
Yeah.
So you have to hold the right opinions. Love that.
Doesn't it feel like that?
Yes.
If you even want to, just come over here.
I mean, I don't know, man. I'm against police brutality. I like gay people. They're cool.
Got nothing wrong with gay people.
He hates the gays.
Not true.
Oh, I voted for Bernie.
Oh my, congratulations. You voted for a misogynist.
That killed me. Like, he says, I voted for Bernie, so that means that I'm good, right? Like, that's the guy, right? I did the thing, right? Look, I did the thing. And you're like, no, that's like last week's cool thing. Like, you need to know what today's cool thing is. We don't like him anymore. He's not good enough.
I've definitely seen so many people I know that's, when 2016, they kind of started being like, no, I swear, like, I'm not sexist. Oh, no, I'm like one of the good ones. And then, after 3 years of that, everyone's like, all right, go F yourself. Like, whatever.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
I'm done like begging for your approval. Like a chick.
Absolutely.
And interested.
And that's the problem is you actually get the reverse.
Yeah.
Right. You don't actually get what you in theory want. Right. In theory,
I don't know
what I want.
They want. True. To be honest, I don't know what in theory they want. I think to just yell at people.
That's the point. That's why I said in theory. Right. In theory, they want you to be the good guy and act the good way, whatever that way is. In actuality, all they want to do is feel righteous. Yeah. That's what they actually want to do is feel righteous.
Yeah,
but in theory, they want you to do the good thing. So, but if I keep saying, Ryan, not good enough, Ryan, not good enough, you're not good enough, Ryan. If I keep doing that, you eventually go, I can't please you, man.
Yeah,
bye.
I don't think I'm gonna.
Bye. I don't know. Right. I can't. Bye. Have a nice day. Or the worse, walking away is bad. Or worse is you become angry at me, and now you become the opposite.
Yes, I've seen a lot of that. Yeah. That's why a lot of times people on, these circles are kind of like, oh, people are getting radicalized. And I'm like, yeah, and you're very complicit in that. Like,
yes, you're helping to radicalize them. Yeah. Yes, you are. You're helping to stir that pot. There's no doubt you are helping to stir that pot. Yeah. Absolutely.
Larry, I'm going to be back in 30 seconds. It's going to
go, brother, go. Absolutely. Go. No worries. So I'm gonna let you guys watch a little bit more of this one while he's gone.
Do you support every one of my platforms?
I don't know your platform. You keep changing stuff up.
Over there.
What is his problem? Just come play on my team. We'll dunk all over him.
Hi, police. Yes, I'm being verbally assaulted by a right-wing lunatic. If you could send troops. Also, I'd like you to be defunded after this call.
I'd like you to be defunded after this call. You can't beat that one. Can you please send troops? And I would like you to be defunded after this call.
The cops, I say hi, and also that they're doing a great job.
All right, enough. I'm gonna go over here. Let's just play.
See that recent Trump COVID video? Pretty reasonable.
Yeah, I guess, whatever.
Hi, Instagram. I'm here with 2 right-wing lunatics. If you want.
He said, do you see that Trump video? Reasonable. And the other guy just goes, yeah, I guess. Now they're right-wing lunatics.
Want to tell their bosses what their politics are to potential right-wing lunatics over here, unless you don't care about hate being spread.
Listen, I'm getting my master's in poli-sci at NYU right now. I'm left, if anything. I'm coming over here.
Post right now that there should be more women coders.
It's not a
Post right now. So now he has to prove himself to you on top of that. So it's amazing. By the way, I don't mind as you to leave. When I had I had John McAfee on.
He's cool.
He literally was in on his ship in the Arctic Circle or whatever. He's like,
wild.
I gotta go piss. I'm like, go, brother. Let's go. It's fine. It's the advantage of live TV. It's amazing. I love it. It's all good. So I let them continue to enjoy your video, your work, your art.
Yeah.
They got to enjoy your art while you were gone. So yes, absolutely.
simple as me making a post
It
on a
actually
status.
is that simple.
Yo, my boss just texted me. I'm fired.
What the hell, dude?
Actions have consequences, Christopher.
I said I was on your side.
On my side? I don't even know if I want you on the internet.
So you're gonna make
That part I love too. The little things that it's almost like you've been watching people actually do this. By the way, for those of you who don't know, this is New York City. For those of you who are watching, this is actually in New York City. And you probably wouldn't have had to look far to find actual people who would have acted exactly like this.
Oh yeah, I'm in entertainment, so.
Yes, absolutely. 100%. Absolutely. But he's man. And the guy's trying to be on his side. He's like, nope, not good enough. Nope. And he got fired and he's still punishing him.
Well, you tell me what you think about this, but a lot of people, so right now my phone is just everyone arguing on my videos, like every time I open up Twitter. But, a lot of the, there's one of the criticisms people go, oh, it's like the right's just as crazy. And you go, well, not really, because it's not that they're not as crazy. It's that the left is kicking people out and the right's recruiting. So it's like, it's because they obviously, there's one of them that has way more of the like institutional power in terms of like media and entertainment and universities, everything. So the right people are as crazy, but they're not showing it because they're like, yo, come to our side. Like, so all the right people, you go, oh, I don't really have any right-wing views. They're like, whatever. It's like, they're like claiming people because they want more people in their club. And the left is kicking people out. So it's this weird thing.
That's the funny part, right? And I look at this from 2016 and be a little philosophical. You knew you would come to my show. It couldn't all be jokes. But no, in 2016, I say it often. We as a country, not maybe you and I, but as a country made a big mistake. There were a lot of people who voted in 2016, not for anybody. It was against somebody.
Correct.
And a lot of people who voted for Trump, while there were tons of people who actually loved Trump, there were a lot of them who voted because they just didn't want Hillary, right? They didn't want Hillary, so they voted Trump. Many people just leaned right or leaned left and didn't really care either way, but they leaned left, so they voted Hillary. They leaned right, so they voted Trump. But all those voted Trump, our society as a whole decided to call every single person who voted for Trump a racist. And when we did that as a culture, all the people who weren't racist, I mean, obviously there was some racists. Clearly, there's racists everywhere.
No, I mean, people said to me, they're like, you're racist. I'm like, no, I'm voted for Trump because I'm sexist.
Sexist too, yes. And they didn't call him sexist yet. That came later.
I can't
came later, right? So, but then all of a sudden now, when you start saying everybody who voted for Trump is a racist, you get that backlash of, you know what? Now I hate you, and now I do like Trump, whether I did or not. Now I do.
You don't think it's maybe the opposite, where they didn't call them racist enough, and if they called a few more people racist, they might have took the election.
If you just would call more people racist,
I don't think they went hard enough on calling people racist.
See, you should be running the DNC right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's it right there. Exactly.
It's so close. Like if we
so
called 5 more people racist.
And then
it's a tipping point.
Yes. It's enough racism and Democratic victory. That's how it works. Yes.
That's how it works.
But no, I think it was bad. And then the Trump took advantage of this. Trump and CNN, in my view, are a good example of our country. If you watch CNN prior to Trump, say 2014, 2015, that area, CNN wasn't so anti-Trump. It was left, but it wasn't crazy left. MSNBC was crazy left. CNN was lean left. And for those of you who were paying attention, you know that to be true. Once 2016 happened, CNN went full out anti-Trump. Trump's evil. If you watch CNN from, say, 8 to 11, it is literally 3 hours of everything that Trump does is wrong.
They're the
Fox,
resistance.
Say again?
They're part of the resistance.
Yes, that's what's happened. They weren't there. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not blaming Trump or not blaming Trump, but I am blaming us as a culture because we created that left-right paradigm that even CNN, who used to at least, at a minimum, CNN, if you go back 5 years ago, at least tried to actually be in the middle. They made an attempt to. They did.
I know a lot of people that have reached out to me that like work at those organizations, and they're like really like my videos, and they kind of like there's a lot of people that work at CNN that say, you know, like I wanted to be a journalist, and they're like not letting me do it. And they
yes.
You know, there's this idea that like, oh, all of them are kind of in on it. It's like, dude, half of that company is like, yo, fuck this. Like, I want to, you know.
Yeah, no, I think this is why, you know, one of the reasons why I do so many podcasts. I do a lot of podcasts. I do at least 1 or 2 every week. I jump on someone's podcast. Yeah. And I do it because I really believe in my heart, this is the future of local media, right? The future of local media is the local podcast. That's the future.
Not even the future of local media. And like you said, you went on Rogan and stuff. Like those guys are doing bigger numbers than any of these stations.
Rogan was my biggest in my campaign. I got more people from being on Joe Rogan than anything else I did.
And if you went on CNN, Fox, all of those, it wouldn't even have made a dent like Rogan. So it's, you know, it's like they're not only the future of local media, like you say, they're the future of actual media.
Absolutely, yes.
The future of mainstream media.
So all those I call them kids because I'm an old man. All the kids who are going into CNN and Fox and MSNBC believing that they're going to be a journalist. They're not. They're going to be puppets of their corporate masters. And they need to start their own podcast so they can actually be a journalist, right? So they can actually go off and do what they actually wanted to do. They've got to break the media giants up on their own because the government's not going to break them up and probably shouldn't anyway. And they're not going to break up. So let's let the internet do what it does and decentralize it that way. I'm sorry, I have to rant libertarian sometimes, brother. It's just who I am.
Yeah, that was a funny one. Like but the way that like what you're talking about, I mentioned that in one of my videos recently, the net neutrality thing. But I just thought it was so funny, like how much they pushed, like the government needs to take control of this. Then it like didn't happen, and then like you never heard about it again. And they're like, the world is going to end.
Yes.
You're like, well, it didn't.
Absolutely.
And you never hear that. Like the amount of times they'll say something like that. I mean, the Russia stuff, there's a million of them, but where they're like all in on something and then it's wrong. And you're like, you said this thing was going to happen. It didn't. And they're just like the pastors that said the world's going to end. And they go, I'll tell you, if I was going to flip it on you guys, it's a little Peter Schiffy, if I was going to say so.
Oh, no, go ahead. I love it. Say whatever you feel.
Not that I feel like that. I kind of a little bit do agree right now that the stock market's due for a pretty good beat down. But it is funny when it's like you say 35 times the stock market's going to crash and then you're right twice and you're like, I'm a genius. You're like, I mean,
no, but the reality of it is,
I've been saying that for 35 years.
The problem with guys like Schiff and others is even they can't believe how much the government will prop up an economy.
It's the Big Short.
They can't believe how much the government will prop up. They just can't. They can't imagine that the government would actually literally, and this is happening now. This is like Japan. For those who don't know, the Japanese central bank will literally buy stock in large companies.
Dude, and that's Federal Reserve just did that recently.
Correct, but that wasn't American. That was Japanese stuff.
But that's
the Japanese been doing that for 40 years.
Dude, they're buying actual like equities and ETFs.
Yes,
you know how crazy
that's correct. And then giving money back, and the bailouts that went back to the companies took those bailouts and they bought back more of their stock. Taking stock out of the market raises the stock price, so the stock market goes up. And most of these executives, they're given their benefits or their bonuses based upon stock price.
Dude, that like buying like buybacks of your own stock with government money is wild.
Yes. How can a guy like Peter should even imagine? And see, his mind
Yeah.
It wants to explode when I even say that. Like he's like, no, that can't be true, right?
No.
He just can't accept that in his head. So of course he can't get it. I'm the guy saying, I just said the other day, I said my state, New York, our state is probably going to go bankrupt in 2023, 2024. And someone was talking last night, Michael Voss was talking last night. He goes, oh, it'll go bankrupt before that. I said, no, they will do anything it takes to keep it past the election. The election's in 2022. So they will do whatever it takes. It's irrelevant what needs to be done. They will do whatever that thing is to keep New York State from being bankrupted until 2023. After Cuomo wins the election, then he'll take us into bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. And the average libertarian can't believe that. And I'm like, no. Anything. Doesn't matter. Lie, cheat, steal, debt. Who cares?
No, I think so too. But it is, you're right. It's like everything of your reason faculties are like, oh, this is probably what's going to happen. But you're like, you don't understand the tricks that they're about to pull out of their sleeves.
Exactly right. Yes. Yes. Because the average human being would never do that. No, but they would. That's for sure. So
fire up that printing press.
There we go.
You stand over there with these psychos?
Psychos? This pussy's gonna make you put your pronouns in your bio.
Freaking warmonger.
More of a warmonger than I am.
All right, I'm going to inch over here. Do not take my photo. Do not take my photo.
Dude, come on.
So am I just supposed to ignore the fact that he's pillaging the underprivileged?
You were just like us 6 months ago.
I'm who I'm supposed to be now, Josh. He doesn't even think we should hang landlords.
I am a landlord.
He doesn't even think we should hang landlords. I cannot tell you how New York that is. Like
I thought that one was so funny because I've made that point on my podcast a couple of times, but there is, in almost that's one context, but there's also this other context in terms of whenever people say that, you know, people that are, let's say, doing what you might call like non-PC comedy or whatever, right? People just making jokes and they're like, that's like calling for violence. And I'm like, yeah, but you have like actual people that are like, let's hang landlords. And I'm a landlord, but I also know that they're not actually saying hanging me. It's like they're being hyperbolic. It's like, okay, so your friend, should I be like, your friend's trying to kill me? No, it's like, right? Like,
right.
So now, okay, so now you take that and extend that to other people that don't share your belief. People are making like they're being hyperbolic and whatever. It's not that I think you should hang landlords, but I also know that when my friend posts that, he's not actually calling for my death.
I don't know. I think some of them are.
It's some of them.
I do. I think some of them are.
Some of them are, but they also are philosophically. And what they really mean is like kill the billionaires. And it's like also becomes like these catchphrases. So
it does. I bring them up all the time, right? A lot of the things they're saying, they don't know what they mean. They don't actually care what they mean. It just sounds cool in a part of the club.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah. It's just like you're at the club and a guy says, when I say this, you say that, this, that. Right. That. It's basically
they see it as like eat the rich. You're like, I'm not actually saying I want to like kill a person and eat his body like a cannibal.
well, the funny part is the people who say hang the landlord, they want someone else to hang the landlord for them. Right. And that's the worst part. Right.
Yeah.
Right. If you want to hang the landlord, people say at least have the cojones to actually do the job yourself. That's all I'm saying.
They don't want to resign.
That's all I'm saying. Right? If you're gonna do it, then do it. That's all.
Now you're Google tutorial it. You're on YouTube looking up Google tutorials of noose tying.
Right. How to hang a landlord. Exactly. Yes.
Anybody go over there, you're not gonna have a team to play with.
Did it ever occur to you?
That was a very important point. Also, the guy who says you're not gonna have a team to play with. You know, my wife is a former Democrat, 25 years former Democrat. Now she's like, I don't care. I don't know. She still hates, she still doesn't like Trump though.
It took you 23 years to wear her down. Huh?
I know. I tell people there's hope. And I actually remember it was this year, and this joke I tell all the time. This year, it was after the government response to COVID, shutting everything down. She's so angry. She's so mad. She goes, you know what? And she's complaining to me. She goes, you know what? It isn't the virus that destroyed us. It's the government response to it. And my response to her was,
you're like, I don't need Viagra tonight.
No, I was like, your transformation is complete. That was it. You are now libertarian. Your transformation is complete. I said it took me 20 years as I was tweaking each piece. Done. That's all it took. Now you are done. Yes, you've come to the dark side. So yes, but anyway, no, I mean, and even she is starting to feel sometimes alienated. One of the reasons why she kind of moved away from the Democratic Party is because she feels alienated. But being a Democrat for so many years, my wife is not pro-Republican, so she tends to go independent or green. or Libertarian, I should say. She tends to go independent or Libertarian. She doesn't go green. She thinks in New York State, the Greens are further left than the Democrats. So she doesn't go green, but she feels alienated. And this is someone who used to be one of them, right? She was part of the team. And now she feels like, I don't have a home.
Yeah. It's like you were into rock and roll, and then you go to like you're like, oh, let's go see what rock and roll bands seem like now. And you go in there and they're moshing, they're kicking you out. Everyone's like, you don't even have face paint on, and you're like, what is this again?
Exactly.
I think I might be getting a little.
Are you not wearing makeup? What's wrong?
Yeah, and you're like,
Yes.
You that I don't want to play b-ball with 4 conservative b-ball players?
You ever want to mates come out here? Sit down, dude. You know what, guys? Let's play the 4 of us.
Yeah, guess what? That's not going to be an option because I'm taking the ball and I'm going home.
Yes, you are.
classic.
Donating this to Sean King's new charity.
Perfect. So good. So good. So yes, I appreciate all of those short ones. I know you do other ones, obviously, but what I liked about it was every little bit had a little juicy piece here, right? There's a little juicy piece in each one.
Yeah, it is obviously like a little embarrassing, like dissecting my videos, like they're important when I'm just like making stupid comedy videos. So
no, they're important.
If
they weren't important, I wouldn't be having you on here talking trash about them.
But that is how I do my stand-up too. Like I'm very adamant of like every minute I want to have like, you know, I'm very big on the kind of punchline every like 4 or 5 seconds. And then on top of that, I kind of see it as for every point you want to make, you have to make like 3 really good jokes. So I kind of structure myself so it's always like that's kind of like how I have my style whenever I make things.
I love it. So there's one more thing I want to read. It's a little bit older. This is your piece on your YouTube page on 72 genders.
Oh, this was my first big viral joke. This did like 8 million views on a bunch of platforms.
Yes, this is a good one too. And this is this is what drew me to you. Was this one, not the other ones? Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, this was when this kind of happened when I only moved, like I said, I moved here maybe a little, but maybe like September, October. And right around that time, I had this kind of like was one of those things that went viral on like 100 platforms. I don't know if you guys know this, but there is actually 72 genders now, which means that men are better than 71 genders. Boys.
What I loved about that and why I love this is the average person who is concerned about diversity, who is concerned about fairness, who is concerned about all those things. They have been taught to believe that the only way to not put someone in a box is to make more boxes.
Right.
And it's not true. And don't get me wrong, I agree with the concept completely that we want to treat people fairly and safely and all those things. But the way they've been taught, it's not about acceptance. It's about making stuff, just making smaller boxes.
Yeah. It's like, oh, we're going to put people by hair color. And you're like, well, this guy's dirty blonde. It's like, okay, go over there with the dirty blonde people. It's like, yeah, well, I'm actually have a receding dirty blonde. It's like, oh, let's make a category for receding dirty blonde.
Yes. And like that makes it better, right? So 72 genders, right?
And you're like, okay, go a little bit further. You're almost there. And now we're back at just people.
Yes. And that's my point. Eventually we're just individuals, which is what we should have been in the first place.
Yeah. We're all so close.
Right? It's what we should have been in the first place. If you're gonna make 7 billion boxes, I'm good.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I'm good. Let's make 7 billion boxes. I get the Larry Sharpe box, you get the Ryan Long box, and we're good, right? I'm fine with that. But the problem is we're just chopping up boxes. But your comment, which I loved, was still the truth. If you chop the boxes up, but there's still a dominant person or group, nothing's changed.
No, I also love the idea of, when you start talking about like 72, and this is 2-3 years ago. So it was even like when it was like a little hotter, I feel like some of this stuff has calmed down, but I love the idea of these topics when you say something and then people are like, oh, you're going to say something bad. And then you misdirect them by saying something worse.
Yes. Yes.
I love that. And then it really throws people off balance because they're like, I guess I'm not mad that you said the thing that I thought was going to be bad, but I think that might be worse. Like,
exactly.
You force them to like evaluate what they think is bad. And you're like, why is that worse? Like, and it just kind of throws people off and they just kind of like give up and just start to watch your show and laugh.
Yes. And
They can't keep
I
all their
really
like
want
things in order.
I take this down to the LGBTQ plus community. Why do we have a plus at the end of it? If you're going to have a plus, make it L plus.
Right. Why are they more important than the things that
What you've just done is you've just segregated the LGBTQ, and then the plus is junior to all the other letters. So instead, literally, I was this guy by the name of Mike Shitley talked to me years ago about a phrase called GSM, which is gender and sexual minorities. I like that phrase. I usually say GSM community because GSM is inclusive. Right. And I'm not divvying up which one is better, right? I mean, seriously, why does the L come before the G? Why does the G come before the B, right? Does that make either one of them more important? I want no one to be more important.
Even with like the GSM, though, when you say that, it's like, as soon as you say that, it'll just be everyone like a gold rush for who can like develop a way that they're in there. They're like, oh, I like bondage. I'm in the minority community.
But you are. That's the point. I love that.
So I guess
Ryan, if you like bondage, you can join my GSM community.
Well,
see that?
But unfortunately, sometimes you end up in a situation where like these groups get like some sort of special privilege or whatever, and then you just have everyone, rushing to get in them.
And I'm hoping that eventually we all get into the GSM community, and there's no need for a GSM community.
That's my minority sexual thing. Is I like to have sex with my shirt on, penis through the hole. Like I'm in.
There we go. And we don't make an extra box. You still just go in regular GSM for that. We don't have a penis shirt hole box.
No, I just have that. The same old box that I've been going into before with my shirt.
Same old box the whole time with that dirty shirt of yours. That is exactly right. You get to stay in the same old box.
And that's what I want. Community, I don't care what box you're in as long as you're putting it in a box.
Put it in a box, brother. That's all that matters.
No homos in my career.
So anyway, this is the one that actually brought me to you because of how you went about that.
Carried away. I actually went to a bar that had gender neutral washrooms, and it's kind of weird because I'm just like taking a shit in a girl's washroom. And there's like these 20-year-old girls looking at me like, what are you doing? I'm like, this is your idea, 20-year-old girls.
This is your idea. Like you said, it's the young girl idea.
I want to do a video of the first prime minister or the first president that's running exclusively on 20-year-old girl opinions.
You'll get that vote, maybe.
Isn't that funny? But then I came out and I was telling my buddy, it was kind of weird, and he goes, dude, this place doesn't have gender neutral washrooms. He just took a shit in the girl's washroom, and everyone's talking about it. I guess I'm a little more progressive than you.
And that's the part I love is you then respond with, I guess I'm more progressive than you. Come on, that's a good one. That was the one that got me because doing that joke, in my view, showed me that you were like, I don't care. I'm just going to go do it. I'm just going to go do it. I'm just doing it. And this was at a time when this could have been the end. This could have been the end of you.
No, I don't think it could have been the end of me.
Somebody could have got that thing up and said you're a bad guy, and you could have gone viral and you're the bad guy and blah, blah, blah. Right? It could have been you're the evil, misogynistic guy that we want to beat up this week.
Yeah.
You could have been that guy.
I mean, I currently am.
Yes.
No shortage of that.
Well, here's the other thing. And now I want to talk about your show real fast, your podcast. It's the Boys Cast.
Yeah.
This is not... And, when I first heard it, I thought it was like the Man Show, right? When I first heard it. But it's not.
No.
It's not. It really is a show that talks a lot about boys, about men. You take the gender stereotypes that are often true, and you talk about them. You just use it. It seems almost like it shouldn't work. But I feel like it works.
You know what's so funny about like all this stuff? As like comics or, commentators or social commentators for years, like what makes someone good is like pattern recognition and then being able to like describe what you're seeing. Like you can't even if it's just like a, you know, take race or gender out of it, you're like, I've noticed that like bartenders all kind of have this like way that they talk. And then you kind of are able to say in like one sentence, you know, every bartender like somehow thinks he's a celebrity for some reason. And someone goes, that's it. Like, so it's this thing. And you kind of are like, oh, women, you know, when your girlfriend's in this scenario and you kind of, you get good at really doing these things. And then all of a sudden they're like, no, you can't like notice things about groups of people. And you're like, I mean, okay, but that's the whole thing. And I'm going to do that. So it's funny that they don't want you to stereotype, and obviously unless it's a good stereotype, but
yeah, but you take both the good and the bad. And
I'm just calling it like I see it. I don't know. I'm not always right, but that's what I think. And
I think people are watching it. I feel like in today's world, there's a spot. It's almost like there's a spot for someone who's just going to do this. And I think that's why it's growing. That's my gut.
Maybe. Yeah. I always liked the idea with the boys, because I mean, this was like kind of a, you know, I used to do that joke, and for years I was kind of doing that stuff because there was this idea that saying like, I'm like super for the boys or whatever is funny, because when feminism was so hot and all that stuff, it was like, you're not supposed to say that, but no one can really explain why.
Right.
And especially if you play ignorant, you're like, yeah, I just think dudes rock. And they're like, but you're not supposed to say that. And you're like, why not? I mean, I don't know. And they have to explain from first principles why you're not allowed to say that you like guys. And just like, so I love that kind of concept. And then there was this other element of people being like, girls are kind of like, well, if we're going to be around, like you have to have girls at your club. And then also once you have girls in your club, you can't do this. And you're like, okay, well, I guess no girls in the club then. So I like kind of like,
that's what you basically did. You said, yeah, I'm going to do what I want. And they said, well, no, you have to have girls in the club. You can't do that. You said, well, then no girls in the club. Bye.
Yeah. So it just,
bye. Sorry.
That stuff sort of makes me laugh so much, because it's like, it's not that maniacal, but like people don't like it, but there's not really a good reason why. But it's that friend is like, you know, so-and-so is going to bring their girlfriend, and they're like, but also if she's here, you can't talk about this. You're like, well, then don't bring her.
Then don't bring her. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Then don't bring her. Absolutely. And I love that idea that then don't bring her. That as a private citizen, you can say, I'm not going to conform.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, no worries. You don't have to be here.
Yeah. And the truth is, like, normal people don't get, like, people think what I do is funny. Like, I've been doing stand up for 10 years. I'm in 3 shows a night for, like, you know, for a long time. And then people in the audience all like think it's funny. Everyone has a sense of humor. And then people watch it on the internet after the fact, out of context, and get mad. Yeah.
So, well, look, I want to say thank you so much for coming.
Thanks
for
having me,
anything you want to bring up before we wrap this up?
No, man. This was Plug City. I couldn't have done a better job if I tried.
No, it's all good. I'm happy. It was fun. People did a lot of comments. Guys, I'm starting to get so many comments. I know you usually get a lot of comments, but that's what my AMA is for on Mondays and Tuesdays. Today was much more about trying to have a little fun, put a little seriousness to it. As we can see, is very often, as you guys see on Fridays, comedy very often mirrors reality, and some of the best comics are doing things that are real. And art often mimics reality and life often mimics art.
Yeah, man. That's why I like listening to people like you and stuff, because you know more than me, but I can make funny videos. So.
But the most important piece is I'm better looking than you. That's the most important piece. Don't ever forget that. I'm a handsome man.
I'm Canadian. And, it's disgusting.
And of all my good traits, my modesty is the best. So in any case, guys, thank you so much for today. I appreciate it. Ryan, thank you for coming aboard. I do appreciate it, guys. I will see you all. And by the way, I'm sorry, make sure that final plug. Head over to youtube.com/Ryan Long Comedy. And by the way, also my YouTube page, if you would. I know many of you watch me on Larry Sharpe Libertarian, but that's already massive. Instead, very soon.